specific thing. I can still distill it down to, you could probably do this on your own.
So with all this time that you save by delegating and automating and utilizing resources that you are going to go out and discover today to handle it for yourself, in your personal life, to go back to, we're going to live our lives in very different ways, but for this industry generally, in your personal life, where do you guys, and probably this is going to be more directed to Loco, where do you think your best investments are to double dip with something that you're doing in your personal life that also very directly and evidently is going to show in your professional life too, since we expose our scapes, our internal realms, our personalities, our identities to a community, to a crowd, to an audience. Where do we plug something in here that then in our personal lives that brings a lot of value there and also brings value in on stream or as content creators?
Well, honestly, the beauty content creator is pretty much everything can come back to creating content. When you go and see a movie, or you go hang out with friends or go on a vacation, now you have all the stuff that you get to bring back to your stream and talk about. Like, that's really cool, and it just may not be the reason that you went out to go do those things because you just needed a break, but now you just all of a sudden are energized. Like, first of all, you're energized and refreshed to come back to the stream because you got away from the stream, and now you have all these stories to bring back and stuff to talk about with your community. Being able to, I'm not a big picture taker because I prefer to just be in the moment, and I just don't even think about it. But it doesn't hurt to every once in a while, take a picture of where you are, what you're doing to, generate content that way too. It's something that, I don't really stress about. Like, if I have to take a picture with friends, I'm not going to be like, oh God, I'm working, I don't want to do this. Like, for me, it's just like, okay, I'll snap a picture. So those are just some small things, but yeah, pretty much everything that you go and do outside the stream, you come back and now you have things to talk about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree with that. Especially, I think that's, the flip side of you being the goods is that really anything that you put into the goods is going to be output, right? Some probably do more than others, right? So if I started learning a second language just for my own need, but I don't stream in that language, that's probably less of an input, right? But at the same time, that gives me insight into what I can talk about on stream. Maybe I want to start talking about my language learning, or just differences that I know. That for me, I like languages because to me, language is a big reflection of culture, right? So of that specific culture, but then I could just kind of talk about, oh, this is what I noticed from this culture. And maybe let's say I was learning German, then I'm going to go play a game that has some German lore in it or something like that. There's definitely, I think it's good to kind of try to keep in mind to do some double dipping, as you put it, but I would also caution you that sometimes you just want to disconnect and not think about how this is going to impact your own Twitch, because you just want it to be something solely for yourself, right? So, you could just Instagram every single meal that you had and help it to boost your Instagram following and to get more content out there. But sometimes there's something just to enjoy something by yourself. Have it private. Have it as something that is reserved for you or you and your spouse or you and your partner.
That exact point is where you would where you would be allowing work to infiltrate your personal life, and you don't want that.
Yes. Yeah.
You don't want to make sure that you're taking a photo of everything, that you're IRL streaming everything that you do. I feel like eventually that's going to become toxic in your life, and that's going to destroy both. Where you are eventually, every single person is going to want to detach one from the other. Both are going to feel like they've been dragged down, and you never want to hit that point. So I think for me, when I'm talking about double dipping, it's less the letting work infiltrate the private life thing, and more like, I like to talk about, self-improvement and motivation and rounding out your life. So the learning another language thing, you don't directly necessarily use that on stream, but talking about that as a part of your life suddenly becomes valuable. And then other people, you're giving context to them in the same way that I get it watching broadcasters and talking to other people. I get a context for well, motivation, inspiration, like, oh, that actually sounds really cool. I've been thinking about doing that too for French, because I want to go back and whatever, have all these experiences there. It becomes an influence for other people. You get cultural context when you're going out and watching movies, when you're reading a lot of books, the educational stuff when it comes to, like, you don't have to stream yourself cooking or even take photos of it to get value that you can then bring back, because you're improving yourself and you are the goods. Yes. You are bringing happiness and joy to your own life, and that is always going to be reflected on stream, invariably. Yes. Well, I think that always makes it a worthwhile investment, even if you're not streaming it.
Joel and I aren't the goods and at quite the same level of having to be on camera, but we are in the sense that we're both knowledge workers, right? Like it's not. If we're feeling sharp, we're also probably doing better work. So for me, it's also things like going to the gym or like making sure that I ate and that I didn't eat crap, which I'm not great at the second one, because I really like eating. So then I just eat a lot, and that ends up becoming. But the gym's been one that I've been working on a lot. And like, does it actually matter for me that does it actually change anything for me professionally if I'm in a bit better shape? Probably not immediately. I'm not a model, right? Like, it doesn't have a direct impact on my ability to book gigs, but it does. The days that I go to the gym, I'm generally in a better mood, and that's good for me. I bet you I'm much more likely, if I'm talking to a prospect, to do well on that call with them if I'm in a good mood, if I'm enthusiastic, engaged, as opposed to like, I woke up half an hour ago and I haven't had my coffee yet,
And your metabolism increases, and that potentially down the road, especially as you do that over several months, potentially gives you more energy in a call, more energy to handle an incidental higher workload on that day.
Yep. For content creators, that aspect is crucial. Like, to be happy, be in a good mood. Like, you know, if you're a zombie or you're fatigued all the time, like, you're not that interesting to watch, and your stream will suffer for it. So, like, taking that time, like, a lot of content creators feel bad taking days off or vacations or something, but like, like I mentioned before, like, not only do you bring something back to talk about, but like, your mood is going to be significantly better, and that's just gonna, like, you're going to make up for that.
Yep. That's why I think this show today and what we do generally is really important, because a lot of what we talk about is the intangibles. It's really easy for us to get caught up in the metrics, but you don't have any metrics for just a joy factor.
Right.
Over the long term, you may see an increase in viewership. You may see more people wanting to stick around, but you're not going to be able to directly tie that to, the fact that you worked out and now you've got a little bit of a glow when you get on stream, and you've got a little bit of extra, sass and a little extra spring in your step. You can't really tie that directly to those things. So that makes it really challenging. I think hearing the perspectives in the context is really important.
Yeah. Well, and like, there are so many of those random intangible things that always happen in life. Did you meet? It's part of it's just like, did you go to that one conference and meet that one person because you happened to go to that one thing, right? Like, or did you happen to come across? I've had opportunities pop up for clients where I'm not their stream manager by any means. I'm doing their finance and stuff like that, but I've had times where I happen to be in a position where I heard an opportunity that I said, oh, I know this person that'd be perfect for it, right? So there's definitely that luck factor, but I think the more you're in a good place when you are like just going about your day to day, the more likely you are to catch those kinds of opportunities.
Exactly.
Because you're not in your own head worrying about something. You're in a much more receptive position, I guess I'd say, to those kinds of opportunities. They don't just have to be business opportunities either. They can be romantic opportunities. They can be opportunities to do a cool thing, whatever. But I found that about myself for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
There was a really stupid, like, I had a counselor at school that had this really, those motivational posters, like, and this was
hang in there with the kitten,
pretty much. But this was just a poster of a basketball hoop in a basketball, and then said, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take, right?
Yeah.
So, and like, to me, that was like, okay, this is beyond cheesy or whatever, but it's hard to deny the truth in that.
It's
Right?
absolutely accurate.
I think it's especially for people who, you know, I work from home, so a lot of my time is spent online and stuff like that. So I can relate to streamers, at least in this regard. It's amazing what technology allows you to do, and that you can keep in touch with so many people. But if you don't go outside, there's absolutely a whole other world that you're going to miss out there, and that's 100% of all those outside shots. Let's just call them that you're going to miss, right? So just going outside, taking a walk to the park, or going to a bookstore, or going to a game store, or anything like that. There's no guarantee that you're going to meet a future viewer or future sub or a future connection that way. But there's also, I can guarantee you that by staying at home, you won't meet any future sub, future viewer, future connection outside, right? So, and it's the same for, you don't even have to say going outside, just going to conventions then, or going to events, or going to local meetups, or going to a local, like a game store to kind
That's
of
where I
talk
met
with other people, or gaming nights,
all
right?
three of you.
I mean,
was outside.
Yeah.
Not online.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
A good friend of mine who I now like go out and get drinks with, and we went to a local Hearthstone fireside gathering together. I met at the airport after landing in San Antonio on the way to PAX South, and I met him because I happened to be rooming with someone who knew him, and so the two of them started talking, and we got introduced, and then realized we lived one town over from each other.
It's like a weird like chaos theory, like
right, exactly. Like, so you know, what are the odds of that happening? Low. But the fact that I was there was the thing that allowed it to happen. And now I have someone where I can combine work and personal stuff in a way, in that he's involved in the gaming industry. And it's someone where, like, I'm going out for drinks to have fun and hang out with someone. But also now there's someone else, and this is, I don't approach things as cynically, but now there's also someone else who, like, if they happen to hear someone bitching about the fact that they don't know what to do with their money, he might be like, oh, hey, this guy actually works with streamers, right? Like, there's always that opportunity.
I mean, the thing is that the odds for that specific thing happening are really low, but you create a statistical set where there's a ton of opportunities. Which one's going to happen? Like, each one of them is independently low. But the more you're engaging with it broadly, one of those things is going to happen. You open up the door for any one of the opportunities to walk through. If you leave the door shut, none of them do.
Yeah. It definitely sounds counterintuitive, right? So like and to get back to Hunters, basically, let's just call this life outside of streaming, right? So life outside of streaming, it has the potential to help you double dip, especially as a content creator or as a variety broadcaster, really, because you are the goods. All of that helps you to, you know, let's just say refresh your goods, right? So that it's restocking the shelves, if you were. But not just that, but having a life outside of it helps you establish that balance, but it also, there are these untold or unspoken opportunities that you never know what will happen just by going outside or having a life outside of that business, because it's like, that's what I meant by being counterintuitive. By actually having a meaningful life outside of your stream, it'll allow you to stream better.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Invariably.